Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to all our 12th Monarchs out there in Monarch Nation, coming off a huge win at San Antonio Saturday night, 36-31. That puts our record at 4-5 overall, 2-3 in the league. And I say huge with this win because having the youngest team in Conference USA, the fourth youngest team in the country, to be able to win a game like that in the fashion that we did, winning the game late, having a couple of big stops on defense, one time on our 4-yard line, another time on our 13. That does so much for those 33 first and second year players that we have in terms of their development, in terms of the younger players who stepped up and performed really big at the end of the game, as well as just their mindset, their confidence level, their belief in what we're doing as a program with game planning and game management and strategy, all those things. That was a very, very, very important win, and we had set out with a goal last week of winning 3 of our last 4 to become bowl eligible. Now it's down to 2 out of 3, and made for a great 3.5-hour plane ride home, Bruce. Made it even better. You know, that 4 a.m. arrival, Ted, we felt a lot better about ourselves getting the win. So I was really pleased with the players and their approach to this game. We fell behind early in this game, 14-3. I was concerned with the fact that our first 4 trips in the red zone, you'd like to think you get down there 4 times, you're going to come away with 28 points. We only came away with 9. We had 1 missed field goal, and then Chris made 3 consecutive, so he made 3 out of 4 in this game, doing an outstanding job kicking the ball. But from that point, being down 14-3 in the second and third quarter, we outscored them 20-0. And went from down 14-3 to ahead 23-14. Those were as good as 2 quarters as we put together this year. And then typical happens with a younger football team. We created a lot of adversity for ourselves at that point. At 23-14, our defense got a stop. Our offense got the ball. We went 3 and out, which was one of the few times in the game. David just missed what would have been a 70-yard touchdown pass to Zach Pascal right down the middle. Then we punted. We had an 11-yard punt. Satchel shanked a rugby punt that went out of bounds. And then the first play after that, they've got the ball on the 35-yard line. They run a double pass that we have well covered. Brandon Simmons was in great position as a corner. Sean Carter, our safety, was coming over the top, and their player makes just a phenomenal catch. They score, and now it's a 23-21 game. And those are the situations that have happened to us this year. I give you that example where we've had something go wrong on offense and something on special teams and something on defense. And good teams have a way to spread that out throughout the game. We had it happen right in succession: offense, special teams, and then defense. And they cut the lead to 23-21. We responded, came back with a good drive, and then they answered and ended up taking the lead 31-30. And at that point, with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, we needed to answer, and David Washington led us on probably what was our best drive of the year. He was 4 for 5 on the drive for 70 yards with the first pass he threw to Ray Lowry. Ray actually dropped it. He turned too quick to run and dropped the ball, or he would have been perfect. That was the drive where he hit Duhart for a 40-yard touchdown, and David was just sensational throughout this game and really stepped up big when we needed him. We took that lead 36-31, and then the rest of the game, the last 6 minutes, was played in our end of the field. I mentioned earlier that our defense held them at our 4-yard line and then held them again at the 13-yard line. Special teams, I mentioned Chris Kirtley, a true freshman, is just playing great football right now. The field goals, he had 2 excellent onside kicks. We should have recovered the first one. We had a missed assignment on one of our players who was supposed to block their linebacker, number 56, who we were specifically going after with that play. You know, when we analyze teams in their front wall, if there's somebody out there that's not a skill guy, we're going to try to take advantage of that. But we missed a block on it. They recovered. It was a great kick by Chris. And then the one we did recover, he kicked it perfectly. You know, he hit the guy in the front wall that we were aiming for. And we got it. We should have been 2 of 2. He did a really good job. We had 2 excellent kickoff returns. The first time this year we've had in succession back-to-back really good returns by both Pascal and Little. The area that we did not perform well was the punt team. We just did not punt the ball well in this football game, although Satchel's last one when we were pinned deep was his best one. Defensively, we gave up 424 yards and 31 points. I was pleased with the fact that we forced 5 punts in this game, and we also had 5 sacks. That was a season high for us. We had 2 poor stretches in this game, and that really was the first quarter, and then right at the end of the third, start of the fourth. Those 2 stretches really hurt us, and we got to do a better job being able to handle adversity and play the next play on defense. The big stops at the end of the game were probably the 2 most important stops we've had in a long time here. Those won us the football game. Martez Simpson was outstanding, 11 tackles and a sack. TJ Ricks, 10 tackles. He leads Conference USA right now in tackling. And 2 of our safeties, Sean Carter and Justice Davila, both had 9 tackles. Offensively, outstanding performance, 85 plays for 548 yards, 36 points. We had pretty good balance. And anytime you throw the ball for 380 yards, if you can also be effective in the run game, that's really going to help you. And we had 170 yards rushing between Ray Lowry going over 100 yards again, and then David ran the ball really well in this game. He had 69 yards rushing in the game. He accounted for 447 yards. Jonathan Duart had his best game he's ever played for us, 8 catches for 160 yards, a couple of really spectacular catches and 2 touchdowns. Pascal continues to be just an absolute weapon for us, 10 catches. 146 yards, and the receivers didn't drop the football. On top of making all those great catches, we didn't have any drops. The offensive line was good the entire game. Burns, Clark, and Mewborn played all 85 snaps, and I've mentioned a number of times Mewborn's got multiple injuries right now he's battling through. Burns is playing with a bad knee. Butler's pretty banged up. So those guys just were warriors up front, really proud of them. And then Ray Lowry had a lot of tough yards in this game. You look and see 23 carries, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. You're thinking that's a workmanlike game, but they were tough yards. He just could never get that big run out that we're used to seeing. Needless to say, this was a huge win for our program. This week's opponent, UTEP, has the same record. They're 4-5. They're 2-3 in the league. Sean Kugler's their head coach, who is an outstanding football coach. He was a tremendous offensive lineman. He was a longtime offensive line coach for the Steelers, and his teams play that way. They're tough. They're physical. They want to mix it up front, the offensive line and the defensive line. That the line of scrimmage will be the biggest challenge for us in this game because of how they play. Offensively, they're averaging 24 points, 370 yards. Since they've got their quarterback back, Mac Leftwich, who missed a couple games with a concussion, they've played much better on offense. He threw for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns in that big win against Rice. Defensively, in their last 4 games, they have really been good. They're getting healthy, getting a lot of guys back. They held Rice to 21 points. This is a heavy blitz team. They play a lot of man coverage. They bring a lot of exotic blitzes, which will be a major challenge for us. As good as we are in the blitz pickup, you got to be really sharp against these guys because they'll bring not only linebackers, they'll bring corners, they'll bring safeties, they'll go sub packages and bring guys from the back end. So we're going to have to do a great job identifying it because they do create a lot of havoc with TFLs and sacks. And in conclusion, I really feel strongly that this is the most important game in our program that we've played since 2012 in those playoff home games that we played because of the implications of this game, needing to win 2 of our last 3 with 2 of them at home. In this type of situation, you'd really like to hold serve at home. You know, win your home games and you're guaranteed to get bowl eligible. So the kids realize the sense of urgency with this game. We talked a lot about it yesterday. We talked a lot about the impact of these last 20 days that we have in our regular season and broke down the importance of what we're doing. And you want to be in these games in November. You want to be in a situation where you've got a shot to get involved in postseason. And, you know, it's right there in front of us. We'll be excited to play, and hopefully we'll have a great turnout for this game Saturday. And I'll take questions.
I mean, this is almost feel like a playoff game itself, you know, since both teams are in sort of the same situation. It's not one and done, but
No, it really does, Dave. It feels like a playoff game because if you look at the league right now, the teams that are eligible for the playoffs, you've got four teams that are in postseason right now, and Western Kentucky and Marshall, and then La Tech and Southern Miss. You know, they've already established they've got the win total, and then you've got five teams, us and UTEP, that are really battling it out for the other three guaranteed spots. And you could probably say the winner of this game has got a really good opportunity, you know, to be that other team. That's how we're looking at it. We're looking at it like we need to win this football game to get to 5-5 to have that opportunity. Because when you look at, you know, FIU, they're 5-5 right now. Rice is 4-5, you know, and still has a good opportunity when you look at their remaining schedule. You know, they've got a good opportunity to get to that. Middle Tennessee is 4-5 after that huge win over Marshall, and when you look at their schedule, they've got a really good opportunity. So we're looking at this like we need to win this football game. And when we broke it down last week, we said we needed to win 3 out of our last 4, and basically we talked about last Sunday in our team meeting that this is the playoffs. We're in playoff mode right now. We're in sudden win mode. You know, our backs to the wall. We've got to have a sense of urgency, and great way to start it off, getting that win at San Antonio, and now it goes from winning 3 of 4 to winning 2 of 3 with 2 of 3 at home. You know, I can't emphasize the importance of that enough. And for UTEP, this is a really tough trip. You know, we made it last year, so I know how difficult this trip is. You're talking about over 2,000 miles of a flight. You're looking at a 4-hour flight. Then the time change for them, at least last year when we played out there, it was a night game. So we could at least get acclimated a little bit. You know, they've got to travel across the country Friday. Their kids are going to have a 5:30 a.m. wake-up call, a 6 a.m. breakfast, and a 10 a.m. game based on their clocks. So that's a major challenge for them. And like I addressed with our team, you know, we've got to take advantage of that. Now, knowing Sean the way I know him, their guys are going to be ready to play. Yeah, we could kick off this game at 6 a.m. He'll have them ready to play. But it is an advantage when you're the home team in this situation. That was tough travel to San Antonio. I mean, that was hard, really hard. At least it was a night game so we could rest and relax a little bit in the hotel. But those are long trips. So, yeah, we're looking at it like we need to win this football game.
Bobby, in 2014, you lost some wide receivers during the offseason, injuries and other issues, and you moved David Washington to wide receiver, which was necessary at that time, obviously. Do you wonder how much better would he be now if he had remained at quarterback and never moved to wide receiver?
I mean, I don't wonder about it because it's you know, it's one of those things that won't change anything. It won't affect anything. When David and I met after last season and we went through the situation in detail, he wanted to stay at wide receiver. He felt like he could really help our team at wide receiver. He had been seeing Schuler in practice every day and, you know, thought that Schuler would be fine going into it with what he was capable of doing. You know, we all did. All of us thought that way. So I wasn't going to make him stay at quarterback because I thought we would be a better football team with Zach at wide receiver and David at wide receiver, and we had Blair Roberts coming back, and we had Nick England returning. You know, we had a good solid core of guys that had been productive. You know, Duhart was a freshman, Little was a freshman. You know, these guys played a lot of football for us. I thought we were going to be really deep at wide receiver, and then all of a sudden the things just started coming apart a little bit. You know, Blair gets hurt. Now he's out, and he's still trying to get his back right, and Nick England's been out for 3 weeks with a concussion. So all these things started happening, and then we just weren't as productive as we wanted to be on offense, which wasn't all on Schuler, but we needed a little more production. And that's when David really kind of his heart got into, okay, maybe I can move back here and help us. And quite honestly, none of us knew this was what he was going to be. You know, we had seen him be pretty good in limited action against Howard and Albany, some teams where he'd gone in and had great success, but we had never seen him in the moment against the level of competition we're playing now. We were all really excited with what he did at Charlotte. But if you'd asked me before the game, I wouldn't have said to you he's going to go throw for 365 yards and account for 404 yards in that game. So what he's doing right now, he's doing mostly on the fact that he's just a tremendous football player. He's really smart. He's got a mind for the game. He's tremendously athletic. There were so many situations Saturday. He got himself and us out of trouble with his ability to escape. So we're going to keep rolling with what we're doing right now, and hopefully he keeps performing at this level.
What's UTEP's biggest strength that concerns your coaching staff?
The quarterback offensively is just getting better and better. He got knocked out. I mean, literally knocked out with a concussion, was gone for 3 weeks, and they struggled in that time. But since he's gotten back and the way he performed in this Rice game, not only throwing it, but his escapability, he throws as good a deep ball as anybody in the league. You know, and I'm talking about Dowdy from Western and Mullen from Southern Miss. He's got a really good knack for putting the ball down the field. That's major concern on offense. Defensively is the amount of pressure that they bring, and it comes from all angles. It's different. If we can handle that, boy, you can get some big chunk plays out of it. And if they lose a gap and David escapes, there's nobody left because they're not sitting in a zone. Everybody's running with somebody in man coverage. So those are the things that we're going to have to take advantage of. And we're going to have to handle some adversity because there's going to be some TFLs. You know, there's going to be some sacks. There's going to be some negative plays because that's when you get a pressure team, that happens. It's going to happen in the game. So we got to be able to handle that. And you know, I've talked to Ray about the fact that he may have a run that's -2, and then one that's 0 yards, and then one that's +1. Then all of a sudden he may have a 60-yarder. You know, because everybody's running in man, and it may pop out. It's similar for our offense mentality-wise as to what it was against La Tech last year. You know, we had multiple sacks. Taylor threw 4 interceptions. We had a lot of negatives in that game, but then we had a lot of explosive plays in the game. So you just have to be resilient when you play a team that brings as much pressure as they do.
Anything else, Coach?
Yeah, with your offense, the high pace, lots of plays offense, do negative yards against that kind of offense, is it more significance than negative yards for regular offense?
It can be if two things don't happen. Number one, if you're not able to rebound and get first downs, and then number two, if your defense isn't getting some stops. You know, Saturday we had a few stops in there on offense. We had a couple 3-and-outs, but then our defense had forced 5 punts. You know, and then they got some sacks, and we got that turnover on the punt team when they dropped it, and then we got the turnover on the onside kick we recovered. So we were able to steal some possessions. We ended up running 85 plays Saturday, and our pace of play has slowed down considerably. Even in this game Saturday, we were snapping it down around 5, at the most 10 seconds at time, and that's 2 parts to that, Scott. A lot of it we're doing some. We got David checking some things at the line of scrimmage now. He's getting more comfortable, so he's getting some freedom on plays that he can check, which takes a little bit longer. And then we're not subbing as many people as wide receiver right now. For example, Duhart and Pascal are rarely coming off the field. We're playing 2 true freshmen right now, Arion Hayes, and then we moved Keyshawn Strong from running back to wide receiver, who's another true freshman. So it takes them a little longer to process the signals coming in. So that slowed us down a little bit also. I was surprised with how many plays we had in this game. I thought it would be down closer to 70, but when we stole those 2 possessions, that added to it.
Anything else, Coach?
All right, thank you all for coming. Great to have you here, and we'll look forward to seeing you at a sold-out, we need a sold-out loud SB Ballard Stadium on Saturday.